Welcome back to my channel. March is National Music in Our Schools Month, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to gather some picture books all about music. Now, I had only planned to share 3 or 4 books, but I got a little carried away and I have more than that to share with you today. It's a great time to cross over these two different things, these two different subjects, reading and music. You'll have the chance to entice those music lovers to read and those readers to love music. And I love when two subjects can come together and really engage all of your students in this learning experience. So let's check out those picture books all about music. This first book that I have is one of my absolute favorite books, and you'll be able to tell once you see it. It was well loved in my family. You can get this book in a regular book. We've just had it since my kids were very little, so it's a board book, and it's quite worn out, as you can tell. In this story, Gerald is a giraffe, and he wants to dance, but his neck is too long and his legs are too skinny. When it comes to the annual jungle dance and all the other animals show what kind of dances they can do and how wonderful they are, when Gerald gets out there and is awfully clumsy, everyone starts to laugh at him. And poor Gerald is so sad. Then he gets some sound advice from a wise cricket that we just need to sway to our own tune and figure out how to do that. He tells him that we can all dance when we find music we love, and encourages Gerald not to believe in the other animals' discouraging words and to just dance from the heart. This is a great story to talk with students about how it's okay to be different or to do things your own way, even if it's not the way that others do it. A great story to share with your students, not only about music, but about perseverance and being yourself. A great read aloud for National Music in Our Schools Month. This next one that I have is called Trombone Shorty. This autobiography is sweet and inspiring. Troy, or Trombone Shorty, got his nickname by falling in love with an instrument that was almost 2 times his size. At just a young age, he was a music prodigy. He was leading his own band by the age of 6 and then went on to become a lead in the New Orleans Jazz Festival. We learn how Trombone Shorty followed his dreams to become a musician and all the odds that he had to overcome in order to get that. This book is a celebration of the rich cultural history of New Orleans and the power of music, perseverance, ingenuity, dedication, and hope. And the collage illustrations in this picture book really make the music come to life in this wonderful picture book. Another music book that I have, I think your students will really love. This one is called Acoustic Rooster and His Barnyard Band, and it's written by Kwame Alexander. In this story, a jazz-loving rooster really wants to win the Barnyard Talent Show. The only problem is he faces an awful lot of obstacles when he tries to join the other bands in the barn, so he decides to start his own. This book, told through rhyme, the illustrations capture the setting and time period of jazz music, and I love how each of the animals are named after famous musicians. For example, you have Mules Davis and Ella Fitzgerald. Your students will get a kick out of all of the barnyard animals and how much they love music in this story. And then at the end, there's also a glossary that talks about who each animal is named after. And it gives a timeline of jazz, as well as some of the musical phrases that are used throughout the story. It explains what they mean at the back of the book. So your students, not only will they love this fun story about the barnyard animals, they'll learn a lot about music through it as well. Another great read aloud for Music in Our Schools Month in the month of March. This next musical book I just happened to stumble on at the last minute when I was at the library. It's a fairly new book. It came out in the fall of 2021. And this book is Playing at the Border, A Story of Yo-Yo Ma. And it's written by Joanna Ho, and I've talked about her quite a lot. She wrote the book Eyes That Speak to the Stars and Eyes That Kiss in the Corners. But this one is a picture book biography of the famous musician Yo-Yo Ma. It talks about immigration and how music can help to build bridges. It shares Ma's amazing musical life, how he honed his talent, and how his music became a reflection of his own life between borders, cultures, disciplines, and even generations. This lyrical picture book is an amazing read aloud, and your students will get lost in the words as well as the amazing illustrations that really have a sense of movement to them. And it really adds to how this story is all about music, and it makes the music of the pages come alive. In the back of this book, there's also some back matter that talks more about Yo-Yo Ma's life and his impact on not only the musical culture, but others' lives as well. A great read aloud about music for your classroom. The next book that I have, I've also shared quite a few times. This one is called Drum Dream Girl, and as you can tell, I have an interactive read aloud to go along with this one, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This book is another biography about how a Chinese African Cuban girl broke Cuba's traditional taboo against female drummers. The young girl dreamed of being a drummer, and she often had to practice in secret because being a female drummer was not allowed in Cuba at the time. Her father finally takes her to a teacher and has him listen to her play. They both realize what an amazing talent she has and that it needs to be shared, and they eventually book her her first musical gig. She then goes on to wow audiences as she's able to share her passion. She's able to perform in front of others for the first time. A wonderful book, not only about music, but about perseverance and having those dreams and chasing those dreams against all odds. So as I mentioned, I do have an interactive read aloud to go along with this one, all about perseverance. I'll leave a link to that resource in the description box down below, but with this interactive read aloud, I've shared the discussion questions. You'll have a written response and some activities for students to do, as well as task cards to help bring that discussion of perseverance to life in your classroom. Another read aloud picture book that I have for National Music in Our Schools Month is called Zin Zin Zin, a Violin. This one by Lloyd Moss is an engaging picture book about musical instruments and the sounds that they make. It's a fun, poetic text with onomatopoeia as those sounds come alive and come off of the pages, as students will learn not only the different instruments, but what they sound like, what they look like. And this book, when I first heard about it, I heard that it was a counting book, so I thought it was really geared toward much younger students, but the amazing language that's used can definitely appeal to upper elementary students as well, as they learn all about these different instruments and what comprises of a band. And this book with bright, lively illustrations is another great book to read for National Music in Our Schools Month. Another book that I just shared recently, this is a brand new book. This one is Marley and the Family Band. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this book because I just recently shared it in my new books of February 2022 video, which you can check out right here. And I'll also leave a link in the description box down below. But this book is about music, how it can bring community together. And it really celebrates love and music and family and how those all come together in a beautiful way. Another great music book to share with your students. And the last picture book that I have about music is When the Beat Was Born. This book is a fascinating description of hip-hop's origins. It's the story of Kool Herc and how he came to be an amazing DJ. It shares how his music impacted his community, how the kids in gangs stopped fighting because they wanted to break dance, how the music that he invented went on to define a culture and change the world. This book is a little bit longer and a little bit wordier than some of the other picture books, so definitely break it up or use with upper elementary students. But also there is back matter in this book as well that gives a timeline of hip hop along with an author's note that gives more information about this awesome music that I think your students will really be interested in. So those are my big collection of books all about music for National Music in Our Schools Month. Again, I think it's so important when we can overlap different subjects and really pull in students for different reasons, for different interests, and build that community in our classroom between different groups of students who are interested in different things. So I hope that you'll be able to check out some of these books to share with your students either in the month of March or anytime throughout the year. If this video was helpful for you, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button down below, because I'll be back next Sunday night with more read aloud tips and book ideas that you can use in your classroom right away. Have a great week.